I want to take our viewers live now to Sussan Ley, the Deputy Opposition Leader. Here she is.
Well, good afternoon. Another day, another breach of the Prime Minister's Code of Conduct. We went into question time with 3 ministers facing questions about their shareholdings and came out with 6 ministers being named. This is an unfolding crisis, almost a farce. And it goes straight back to July the 8th, when this Prime Minister said, we'll do things differently, we'll do things with integrity and transparency, and we will have strict adherence with this code. So the question today is, well, what does strict adherence actually look like? And what are the consequences for breaching this code? And how is it that ministers are simply self-assessing against the code and then just being waved through to continue business as usual? Questions do need to be answered by this Prime Minister, and for him to simply dismiss them in question time the way he has been, with his attitude of laughing and pointing and not taking this seriously, well, I think there really are serious questions to answer. Mark Dreyfus, QC, MP, the leading law officer in the land, the smartest legal brain, he'll tell you that himself, appears to have been making decisions and been thanked for those decisions in ASX-listed statements by a global litigation funder, decisions that he has made that are directly related to the financial interests of his own self-managed super fund. So the opposition doesn't know all of the details of all of the interests. Of course we don't. But we have legitimate questions and we're getting no answers from this Prime Minister. It's his code. It was his statement on July the 8th, and it's his failure to act or even answer today.
Ms. Ley, it's fairly telling that the Attorney-General said that he'd go away and take advice rather than point blank saying got nothing to see here. Do you think to avoid any perception or appearance of conflict, he should simply just divest himself of this shareholder?
Well, he should be standing here in this courtyard answering these questions. He was asked well over an hour ago 2 detailed questions in question time, the one that I've just referred to about decisions he made as the first law officer of the land about litigation funding and the welcome of his decisions on ASX-listed statements. So, you know, if you say this to an average Australian, I think they would point immediately to a conflict of interest. My point is that there are questions that he has to answer, and he should be standing here answering them. Absolutely.
Is it possible that this is just an oversight? I mean, put this into the register on the 8th of August, pretty recent. Everyone's just put in their register. Are you saying he should resign over this, or is this a mistake he should divest and then we move on to the lesson?
I'm saying that how is it that Mark Dreyfus as the 5th Minister, and we heard of Stephen Jones as the 6th during question time, is allowed to simply use the excuse that he's complied completely with all of the disclosures that he's required to and then effectively sit down? I mean, there is no way, there is no excuse by just saying, I've complied with the disclosures. This is about conflict of interest. This is about the conflicts of interest that the Prime Minister said he would demonstrate strict adherence to by his ministers.
But is there a conflict of interest? Mr Dreyfus has said that he doesn't have any influence over the decisions that fund makes. The code actually says that ministers are allowed to have public superannuation funds or publicly listed managed funds. What is the conflict of interest here?
Decisions made by Mr Dreyfus as the first law officer of the land were welcomed in ASX statements by a company that is a global litigation funder for decisions he made relating to the activities of that company in litigation funding. And that company is the one that has the financial investment from his self-managed super fund. So, as I said, there are questions to answer. These are questions that should be placed, put, made to Mark Dreyfus as the first law officer of the land. To say that it was an oversight, that he forgot, that, you know, it was overlooked, demonstrates that this Prime Minister is not serious about his own code. He's not serious about the need for integrity and transparency that he talked about. What does strict adherence with that code mean? What does it really mean if it's simply self-assessment?
Is that a good argument given that
Deputy Liberal Leader Sussan Ley there. We'll have more on that story in just a moment with Andrew Clennell.